are most desirable, because it means that the soul has cast its moorings and is sailing for distant places. This is detachment, when the old is over and the new has not yet come. If you are afraid, the state may cause anxiety, but there's really nothing to be afraid of. Remember the instruction: whatever you come across, go beyond. This is also good to remember when we're in meditation. Sometimes there are extraordinary lights, visions, revelations, and these are wonderful. It gives you faith to continue. But these too are still on the level of the mind. We are remembering them. They are part of imagination, imagery. So whatever you come across, no matter how high the vision, how great the revelation, whatever you come across, go beyond. And I've chosen, or readings came into my hands, readings for a very, I think, rich program this evening, starting with that beautiful statement of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, because sometimes we feel that we've reached a stage or a state in our journey where we have really taken a major jump and climbed to a new threshold. And then the masters say, no, it's just a stepping stone. Don't use it as a stopping stone. So when a master says, remember this instruction, whatever you come across, know that there's something beyond it. Go beyond. Don't be satisfied with what you feel is a high state. I'm looking at you, Connie. Did you ever get to the gift shop? Okay, because I found one is available if you wanted it. Okay. I've been finding, and many of you have told me it is so, that even a few lines from a great master, such as those from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, and these from our great Guru, Sri Brahmananda, can have a lasting impact. Sometimes if you hear only a phrase or a line or a few lines, that has a greater impact than when you hear many words, many messages. And so every week I've been bringing to you those statements made by our great Guru that affected me so much that they brought about an instant change in my view of people, in my view of the world. And I think from what I'm hearing from people when I post these quotations of the masters on Facebook, I'm hearing that they feel that hearing those words sets the tone, not only for the rest of their day, but the rest of their week, and sometimes the rest of the year. They write it down, put it on their refrigerator, alongside of that other great statement of Gurdjieff's. It's a good thing to put on a refrigerator. You are not the body and the mind. That may cause you not to eat so much. It's a good reminder. Don't torture the body. The body knows when it's had enough. I have to keep telling that to myself. So, this is Guruji. What is the difference between science and yoga? Science deals with objective reality, while yoga begins with subjective reality and ends in transcendental reality. What is the difference between science and yoga? Science deals with objective reality. I think that's clear. With reality that's outside, while yoga begins with subjective reality and ends in transcendental reality. Science is involved with all types of discoveries and inventions, while yoga is interested mainly in the discovery of the discoverer. That is to say, yoga is concerned with the discovery of pure awareness, pure consciousness, the absolute I am. So let's go to the first statement, or the second. Science deals with objective reality, while yoga begins with subjective reality and ends in transcendental reality. What does it mean that yoga begins with subjective reality? That's interesting. Subjective reality. I'm taking time to have a dialogue with you because I study these and I look into the meaning for myself. I sit with them. I meditate. What is meant by science? We can see clearly deals with objective reality. What is meant, according to you, with the term subjective reality? That's going to end in transcendental. Yes? Right. And this is coming from Tracy, who is a scientist, so I'm especially impressed that you have gone beyond science as a yogi. Subjective reality is reality as we see it. If inside we have grown, we have matured, we have evolved, so that what we're seeing is seen from the eyes of non-discriminating reality. We're just seeing what's there. Scientists are supposed to do that also, to look at the results of their discoveries, not with prejudice, not with saying, that's not what I expected to have result from this work that I'm doing, but to see it with an open mind. Well, what happens when we meditate and are established in meditation? We become accustomed to having reflected through meditation our perfect state, so that we are seeing as if through a mirror the reality that's around us. It is subjective, it's coming from us. He says it's yoga begins with subjective reality as we are seeing it from the point of view as the observer, but that subjective reality ends through yoga in transcendental reality, reality that goes beyond the body, mind, senses, goes beyond time and space. And then Gurdjieff adds, science is involved with all types of discoveries, all types of inventions, while yoga is interested in only one thing. Who remembers what? The discovery of the discoverer. Is that Walter? Thank you, Walter. The discovery of the discoverer. Because once we discover the discoverer, then we become the repository of all information, all knowledge, all wisdom, as happened in the case of the same Master Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Had no education, did not read books, had not attended schools beyond perhaps the 4th grade equivalently. But after his enlightenment, he spoke as a scholar in the same way as our own great scholar guru, Sri Brahmananda Saraswati. Why? Because on that level, in that dimension, that frequency was in contact, attuned all over the world. All knowledge, and even beyond the world, was being received by this simple man who had, by grace, by sincerity, by time, preparation meaning, been able to go beyond his body, mind, and senses, which were limiting his ability to be in tune with, attuned with. Our great director of the School of Music is here. He knows the necessity of attuning yourself with the higher forces. So, while yoga is interested mainly in the discovery of the discoverer, that is to say, the discovery of pure awareness. Interesting. The discoverer is not John and Krishna and Dharmadev and Walter. That's not the discoverer. In order to discover the truth of the universe, we have to be transformed into the absolute I am, into the state of pure awareness, without our individuality, personality, ego, mind, interfering with that flow between the universe and the pure awareness, the absolute I am. As Gurdjieff said, he says that it's the discovery of pure awareness, which we are, pure consciousness, which we are, pure, absolute I am. That immediately expands our horizons into the infinite, doesn't limit our view of the world. The true guru is the one who removes the power of competition and jealousy from your heart. That's a new definition of a guru, isn't it? This is a guru's definition of a guru. The true guru, this is Sri Brahmananda, the true guru, the true one, is the one who removes the power of competition and jealousy from your heart and makes your heart able to love not only all gurus of the world, but all people of the world and all creatures of the world, not only of the present, but also of the past and the future. This is what is meant when our guru, when speaking about the importance of unity on this ashram, he said it's important not just to love our little constellation of friends, our little circle of acquaintances, but if we are to know the true meaning of the Guru's message, we have to end this life, even end the day, each day, feeling no animosity, no anger, no jealousy, no competition towards anybody, but to love all. Why? Because we feel a oneness with all. And if people make mistakes around us, we make mistakes. You have to understand, as judo, our conditioning, not because of our true self, which is pure awareness, pure actually compassion, pure consciousness, the absolute I am. Now, here's a question. The true Guru is the one who removes the power of competition and jealousy from your heart and makes your heart able to love not only all the gurus of the world, because many people, they feel, my guru is much better than your guru. How do I know? My guru has 10,000 followers. Your guru, much fewer. That's a totally wrong understanding. There's only one guru operating through different forms of gurus. How many understand that, raise your hand? It's only one guru. So how can we be in competition with other gurus? That makes no sense. That's silly. Only one guru. Sometimes your guru appears in the form of a child, giving you a very profound message. And then you ask the child a day later, do you remember saying that to mommy? No, they don't remember. Because the guru speaks through the innocent ones, through the open vessels. Anytime we can receive a message from the guru. So the guru not only removes the power of competition and jealousy from our heart, but he makes our heart, makes your heart, mine, able to love. That's what I want to ask about. Makes your heart able to love not only all gurus of the world, but all people of the world and all creatures of the world, not only of the present, but also of the past, also of the future, that we are now vessels, vehicles of peace, whenever we turn up, wherever we turn up. Consciousness is omnipresent. Each one of us, as consciousness, is omnipresent. And we are to be born again and again and again. And whenever we're born again, once our heart has been transformed by the Guru, then we become what Guruji called moving ashrams, every future incarnation. So let me ask this question. How does the Guru do it? How does he, in Gurji's words, make your heart able to love all? From the past, the present, and the future. That's no small happening. How does he do it? There's a word through, Walter, you know that word? Well, through meditation, that's another one. I was coming to that, but grace. But why doesn't grace happen to all of us? If it's happening, because grace happens as a gift, a reward for all the work we've done in the past in preparing for this happening. We're not, even if, does anyone here feel you're brand new tonight? Raise your hand if you're brand new to the ashram. Anybody brand new to the ashram? Do you feel you're hearing these things? I didn't ask your name today. What, Bruce? Bruce. Bruce, do you feel you're hearing these teachings for the first time? Are they new to you? Do they seem new? You were for the afternoon program, evening program. Do they seem new? Not that new. I love that. It's not that new. And sometimes people say, I'm here for the first time, but it feels very familiar. I feel familiar being with this group of people. I feel familiar being at this ashram, just the presence of this ashram, this guru. I feel familiar with the sense I have here that I belong. And Bruce, very honest, he said, some of it. Well, our guru told us that it's not new at all. It's just taking a little longer time for some of us to remember our own knowledge, our own understanding, because some of us have been covered over more by wrong conditioning, false education, having to spend some incarnations with the wrong, not wrong, but with a family that didn't aid in our movement towards spirituality. It took a little longer. Sometimes there's huge support for spiritual and religious endeavors on the part of children. And sometimes there's a very strong blockage by parents, by educators, by society. So we have to cut through that, but we're being told the guru is the one who's going to cut through that. The guru removes this power of competition. He means this force that exists within us to compete for ambition, to be well known, to be in a position of authority and control. It's part of our conditioning, and the guru has to assist, but when we're ripe for it, when we're ready for it. Makes your heart able to love not only all gurus of the world, but all people and all creatures of the world. That's when Walter's answer makes sense, because it's only through meditation, when our hearts are purified by the silence we find there, by the bliss we find there, by the peace we find there, and yes, by the power that we find there. Full power. In that state, we are not only omnipresent as consciousness, people can pick up our frequency all over the world when we're in that state, and we can do the same, vice versa. Not only are we omnipresent, but we are omniscient, all-knowing. In that state, beyond the mind, we are all knowledge, omniscient. And of course, finally, we feel absolute power. Absolute power. We have the same power as the sun, the moon, and the stars in that state. More, because we are beyond anything objective in this universe. Any object in this universe. Any questions about this? Oh, you made me very happy. Because some things, even as I'm talking, I'm listening to what's coming out. It's coming out spontaneously. Makes sense to me. Otherwise, I'd try another way of explaining it for you. These are not words that you can write down in a notebook and go over and analyze them. Not at all. These words are coming right at the edge of our mind. And they should be just catalysts to jump us, move us into the next plane, which is beyond itself, beyond its own thought processes. Some words are like that. And the words of the great masters are all like that. Just signposts. Signposts. Go beyond these words. You won't remember them later, because it's difficult to remember these words, but you will remember the feeling you had as you listen to them. If you felt a little bit of arousal, a little bit of tingling, because we're told the cells themselves have intelligence. The cells know when truth is being transmitted. Okay. Now, I have to watch the time because I want to be respectful of Priyamvada Sankar, our beloved friend and exquisite dancer and profound scholar. You respect someone by being on time for them. So I want to make sure that we're finished by 8:30. Our teacher, Sri Brahmananda, charmed us all by introducing to us so many great masters. This ashram is not like any other because you'll be hearing not only Sri Brahmananda's great teachings, but you've already heard from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And we were introduced to Zen Buddhism here, Krishnamurti here. Krishnamurti never introduces us to other masters. I've noticed that. He never says, if you know Krishnamurti, you know I'm joking now, because Krishnamurti didn't believe in gurus. And yet now that he's passed, his disciples, he didn't believe in disciples either. His disciples are saying he's one of the greatest teachers. Guru means teacher. One of the greatest teachers the world has ever known. Now he has to come back to make sure people don't believe that. But he's one of my great teachers. Sri Brahmananda had no problems taking us to his lectures, to his talks. And Guruji would sit right in front. He always came an hour early so his students and Guruji could sit right in front. And Krishnamurti could see us and we could see them. And Krishnamurti one time looked down at Guruji. I don't mean look down, but he gazed down at him. And then he looked up and he said, Americans are so gullible. He spoke a very clipped British accent. Are so gullible. They're ready to believe anyone who comes from India, including myself. But beware of those gurus from India who dress in long orange robes, who have a beard and a mustache and carry a stick. And the one laughing the most was Guruji. He was describing Guruji. Guruji was dressed in long orange robes and carrying a black stick, his magnetic stick, and with a long beard and mustache. And Krishnamurti was talking about him. And Guruji was laughing. So later we were very annoyed. Krishnamurti, we thought it was very rude to say it. And he said, why are you annoyed? We said, he was looking right at you. He was looking at me, but he did not mean me. He was right, talking about those that you should not follow. You don't know who they are. I've never asked anyone to follow blindly. I have trouble pushing people away, not getting them to stay. This is the kind of guru we had. And this is the kind of guru that I wanted, and we all wanted. Open-minded. Truth is truth, he told us, whether it comes from Krishnamurti or that rascal Rajneesh, Osho. Admittedly, he said he was a rascal. Or from the great Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharshi. We read them all, as long as they came from an enlightened master. And so we read from all the enlightened masters. One of the teachings Guruji introduced to us were the teachings of Lao Tzu, the great Taoist masters. He was the great Taoist master. Lao Tzu was the author of the Tao Te Ching. And a couple of weeks ago, Saturday, I told you that he didn't write that till he was 90 years old, when he decided to leave all teaching and just go away into the mountains somewhere. And his disciples begged him to write a book. He said, no, no, no. No book's necessary now. Never wrote a book. At 90, he wrote a book. Why? Because when he was crossing a border, the border guard, I told this afternoon, the border guard was one of his disciples. And he said, I'm not letting you pass. This is the story that is told. I'm not letting you pass, my Lord, until you write a book on the Tao. A small book, but you write a book on the Tao. He said, you cannot write a book on the Tao. He said, I'm not letting you pass. And so in 3 days, the Tao Te Ching was written. And the first sutra was, the Tao cannot be expressed. That was the first. But that was the beginning of one of the greatest classics of our time. It is said here, there are few Taoist temples. So to find a Taoist statue is very rare. Most statues are in the mountains, standing in the open, carved out of the mountain, with no roof, no temple, no priest, no worship. And I'll remind those who are fairly new and those who are very new, like Bruce, at least in coming to this ashram, that our teacher always had us very alert listening to these readings, because he had readings too. He would have his students read as part of the program, read from his work and other masters. And he said, don't listen as if it's just entertainment, because you may miss the most important message of your life. Listen as if this were custom designed for your enlightenment. In the old days, if anybody fell asleep around him, he would dip a rose or a flower in the water, take it out, dip it in the water, and wake you up. Because just to be in the atmosphere of the ashram and in the gurus, you just felt so relieved and so relaxed. It was very easy to move into another plane. But he didn't want that. He wanted us to be very alert, looking for exactly what we needed to hear. There was a statue of Lao Tzu, who was the founder of Tao, and it happened that a young man had been hoping for years to go to the mountains and see that statue. The young man loved the words. He loved the way Lao Tzu has spoken, the style of life that he lived. But he had never seen any of his statues. Years passed, and there were always many things preventing the young man from following his desire to see the statue. But finally, one night, he decided that he had to go. It was not that far, only 100 miles. But he was a poor man, and he would have to walk. In the middle of the night, he chose a time in the middle of the night so that his wife and his children and family would be asleep, and so no trouble would arise. He took a lamp in his hand because the night was dark. He walked out of town, and as he reached the first milestone outside the town, a thought arose in him. My God, 100 miles? I only have 2 feet. This is going to kill me. I'm asking the impossible. I've never walked 100 miles, and there's not even a road here. It was a small footpath into the mountains, dangerous also. So he thought, it's better to wait until the morning. At least there will be light then, and I can see better. Otherwise, I will fall somewhere. I will fall off this small footpath, and without even seeing the statue of Lao Tzu, I will simply be finished. Why commit suicide? So he stopped and sat down just outside the town. So far, it's the story of all of us. We have that impetus, we have that intuitive sense to set out on a dangerous journey, a long, arduous journey, and something every lifetime has pulled us back. Or we walked, not exactly this example, or we went to an ashram, went to a monastery, labored very hard, and then we asked, why isn't it happening? Why haven't I been changed? This story is our story. It's mine, otherwise I wouldn't have brought it to you. You will know about me by listening to this, and you will find out I'm just like you, only I'm older. I've been here longer. But otherwise, my life story is very close to yours, or it will be a life story as you continue. As the sun was rising, an old man came by. He saw this young man sitting there, and he asked, "So what are you doing here?" The young man explained. The old man laughed. He said, "Have you not heard the ancient saying, nobody has the power to take 2 steps together. You can take only 1 step at a time. The powerful, the weak, the young, the old, it doesn't matter. The saying goes, just step by step, 1 step at a time, a man can go 10,000 miles. And this, what you're talking about, it's only 100 miles. Who is saying that you have to go continuously? You can take your time. After 10 miles, you can rest for a day or 2 days and enjoy yourself. This is one of the most beautiful valleys among the most beautiful mountains, and the trees are so full of fruit, so full of delicious fruit that you may never have tasted such fruit. Anyway, I'm going. You can come along with me. I have been on this path thousands of times. I hope by now you've realized this is all symbolic. This is symbolic of your life, of every seeker's life. This elderly man said, I've been on this path thousands of times, and I am at least 4 times your age. Stand up. That's what he said. Stand up. This old man was so authoritative. When he said, stand up, the young man automatically simply stood up. And the old man said, give your things to me. You are young, inexperienced. I will carry your things. You just follow me, and we will take as many rest stops as you want. What the old man had said was true. As they entered deeper into the forest, the mountains, it became more and more beautiful, more and more beautiful. There were many wild, sweet fruits to eat. And whenever the young man wanted to rest, the old man was ready. He was surprised that the old man himself never said it was time to rest. But whenever the young man wanted to rest, he was always willing to rest with him. A day or 2, and then they would start the journey again. How many of you are ready for a surprise ending? The Taoists are all like that. Those 100 miles just came and went by, and they reached one of the most beautiful statues of one of the greatest men who has ever walked on the earth. Even his statue was something special. It wasn't just a piece of art. It was created by Taoist artists to represent the spirit of Tao. The Tao philosophy is one of letting go. Funny, we talked, Subramanya, about that. It's the philosophy of letting go. You are not to swim, but you are to flow with the river, to allow the river to take you wherever it is going, because every river ultimately reaches the ocean. There's no need to be tense or to worry. You will reach the ocean. In that lonely spot, the statue was standing, and there was a waterfall just by its side, because Tao is called the watercourse way, or the way of the watercourse. Tao follows, Tao flows just as water goes on and on flowing, with no guidebooks, no maps, no rules, no discipline. Strangely enough, the Tao flows in a very humble way, always seeking the lower position everywhere. Tao never goes uphill. It always goes downhill, and it reaches the ocean to its very source. What ocean are we talking about as far as Tao is concerned? The ocean of consciousness. Who said it? You can tell. It's right. Good, thank you. Harini said it. The ocean of consciousness. The Tao, without any discipline, flows in a very humble way, always seeking the lower position everywhere. It never goes uphill. It always goes downhill, and it reaches to the ocean, to its very source. The whole atmosphere surrounding the statue was representative of the Taoist idea of let go. When they reached the statue, the old man said, "Now begins the journey." "What?" said the young man. "What are you talking about?" "I was thinking 100 miles, and so this journey is finished now." The old man said, "No, that's just the way the masters have been talking to people. But the reality is now. From this point, a journey of 1,001 miles begins. And I will not deceive you, because after 1,001 miles, you will meet another old man, perhaps me, who will say, 'Just a stopover. Go on. Going on is the message.'" Now, I had chosen this story without realizing I needed a quotation for meditation. They were chosen days apart with no realization they were talking about the same thing. No matter how far you walk, continue on. No matter what you come across, go beyond. Same message. That's the way things happen at this ashram. It's always magical. I never have to worry about moving you with things that are miraculous. They just happen because he was. I think I'm in Panini. He would be there in Panini. Guruji was a magical person. He knew the future. He knew your past, and he was working with you in the now. So he said, from this point, a journey of 1,001 miles begins. And I will not deceive you, because after 1,001 miles, you're going to meet another old man, perhaps me, who will say, this is just a stopover. Go on. Going on is the message. That's our message, every one of us. Going on is our message. Gurdjieff's expression was, never use anything, whether it's a calamity, a loss of a loved one, a crisis, a marvelous, miraculous happening in your life. He said, never use anything as a stopping stone. Don't let the ecstasy stop you. Don't let the misery stop you. Use it as a stepping stone. That was Guruji's practical way of speaking to us. The journey is endless, but the ecstasy goes on deepening. The journey is endless, but the ecstasy goes on deepening. At each step, you are more. At each step, your life is livelier. Your intelligence is aflame. And nobody stops. Once the seeker has reached to his being, he himself becomes capable of seeing what lies ahead. Treasures upon treasures. Persuasion is needed only up to the point of being. Those first 100 miles are the most difficult. After those 100 miles, it may be 1,001 miles or an infinity. It makes no difference. So now you know that in reality, there is no goal. The very talk of a goal was for the beginners, was for children. The journey is the goal. What's another word for the journey? This is symbolic. What's another word for the journey? Subramanya said, someone else said life back there. Life. Life is the journey. And our goal is the journey itself. Life is the goal. To live. And when they come to funeral, when people go to funerals, sometimes if the person has been totally without any selflessness, has always been selfish, sometimes people mourn for the life of the man, not for the death of the man. They mourn because the person never lived, never knew any real happiness that comes from service and that comes from love. All of us know contracted people who are only happy when they're making other people miserable. They like control. They're bullies. You know, bullying is a big topic these days. But we all bully until we understand these teachings. We all like to have control over others so they don't control us. But once you understand this, you never can be in the position of a bully or mean person, mean-spirited person again. Your motivations will be good. The action may be not what people like or not what you like, but as long as the motivation is good, you're off the hook. That action was destined to happen. All we need worry about is the motivation behind our actions. Again, from our great Guru, all the Gurus. Coming to the end, good, just right time. The journey itself is the goal. It is infinite, this goal. It is eternal, this journey. You will find stars. You will find unknown spaces, unknowable experiences. But you will never come to a point where you can say, now I have arrived. Anybody who says, I have arrived, is not on the path even. He hasn't even traveled. His journey has not begun. He's just sitting on the first milestone. Each departure is a little painful, but the pain will be forgotten immediately because more and more blissfulness will be showered on you. Soon you will learn this. There's no need to feel pain when you depart from one overnight stay. You become accustomed to it. You become accustomed. I think just a minute. You become accustomed to leaving because you know that the journey is endless. I'm going to read this again. Each departure is a little painful, but the pain will be forgotten immediately because as you travel, as you go on and on, more and more blissfulness will be showered on you. Soon you will learn this. There is no need to feel pain when you depart from one overnight stay, from one lifetime. You become accustomed to leaving because you know that the journey is endless. The treasure becomes greater and greater. You are not losing. Stopping anywhere will be a loss. So there is no stop, no full stop. There's not even a semicolon. Very nice. There is something that was added as an add-on. I have some time. The way. Tao means the way with no goal, simply the way. It was courageous of Lao Tzu. 25 centuries ago, it was courageous of Lao Tzu to tell people that there's no goal and we are not going anywhere. We're just going to be here. So make the time as beautiful, as loving, as joyous as possible. He called his philosophy Tao, and Tao means simply the way. So many asked him, why have you chosen the name Tao? Because you don't have any goals in your philosophy. And he said, specifically for that reason. I've chosen to call it the way. I've chosen to call it the way so that nobody forgets that there is no goal. There is only the way. The way, the journey. When someone tells me they've lost a mother, a father, I say, they're not lost. They're free now. Let them go. Let them enjoy until you bring them back by your attachment to them. There's no losing anybody. You can't lose a soul. If you're attached, we magnetically pull them back to us. Sometimes if we have aversion for them, we also unfortunately pull them back. So it's important not to have aversion for anybody. We come back to Guruji. You don't want trouble in your life. You don't want conflict, anxiety, depression, fear, loneliness. Don't pull the wrong people back into your life. The way to pull them back is you have this strong dislike of them. If you have compassion for all, love for all, they're free to go on their way. And you pull back like-minded souls. Not my wisdom, all the wisdom of the great masters. The wisdom, I should say, of all the great masters. So many asked, how come you call it the way when you don't have a goal? He said, so that nobody forgets that there is no goal. There is only the way, and way is capitalized. The way is beautiful. The way is full of flowers, and the way becomes more and more beautiful as your consciousness becomes higher. The moment you have reached the peak, everything becomes so sweet, so ecstatic, that you suddenly realize that this is the place. This is home. You were unnecessarily running here and there. So cancel all the tickets you have booked. There's nowhere to go. I'll finish this whole lovely section on the Tao by telling you about a painting that was in the book. The book is called Tao, The Way. The Way of the Watercourse was this topic. And it's Osho's commentary. But there was a beautiful painting of 3 elderly wise men. They looked very wise, sitting around a large plate of food. And you could see each one had taken a morsel of the food from the plate. And each of the wise men, or the elderly gurus, had a different expression. Each one had a different expression on his face. The first one had a sour expression, like he had just tasted a lemon, like that. I'm glad this isn't being videotaped. It's not, is it? Surat, is it? I'll do it again then. I was a little taken back. First one had a very sour face, as if he had taken a lemon, tasted a lemon. It was like, you know how you get. The second one had a bitter expression. Bitter. The third one had a sweet smile on his face as he tasted the food. According to the Taoist teachings, the first guru was Confucius. Confucius liked everything to be orderly, disciplined. He liked to have everything around him perfect, and he wanted us to discipline ourselves so we could come upon our own perfection. The second one was Buddha. Buddha had the bitter expression. This is according to the Taoists. It's not according to me or to the others. But according to the Taoists, the comparison between Confucianism and Buddhism and Taoism is this. Buddhism has a bitter taste because they view the world as being full of pain and suffering, and we have to withdraw from that world into the mindful or the mindless state. They are not happy with the world. They regard it as dukkha, suffering, the Zen Buddhists. Those following Confucius, they view the world as chaotic, out of order, an unhappy place that needs to be disciplined and made to function in a perfect way. The Taoists, they love everything about life. They flow with all the events of life, not like this, that's not flowing, humbly, taking every upward movement, downward movement as part of the beauty. And as such, they can even taste life and find it wonderfully sweet because they view life as a blessing. Life itself is the way. Remember, he said, as they move deeper and deeper into the journey, the fruits became more delicious. The scenery became more beautiful. The ecstasy was awaiting them. I'm very clever. I finished just in time, so you can't ask any questions that I cannot answer. So, I think we should finish with just the Tao. I'm sure Lao Tzu would be very happy if I said, just take this feeling that you have right this minute into the world and be, as Guruji liked to call you, moving ashrams. As many people are not able to come to an ashram, but you can go among them. And your presence and your sweetness and your enjoyment of the journey, which is life, is infectious. People do catch that from you. So please close your eyes just for a moment and take a very deep breath and exhale very gently and slowly, dropping the words as you do. And take just this moment, 60 seconds, to attune yourself, the witness, the witnessing self, with your body, mind, and senses, and observe how your body feels to you, the witness. If these words of Taoism and Yoga Vedanta have penetrated to the very cells, the marrow of your being, you will feel a tingling sensation, as if your whole body is dancing. All the cells, the atoms and the molecules, you can feel it as a tingling. What does it mean? It means you've come home. Krishna Devi, would you lead us in our traditional prayer? Om